Hello there, and welcome to episode 33 of the Paper Crane Yarns Knitting Podcast. My name is Ashley, and I am a yarn and fiber dyer, a project bag maker, and I own a yarn store, a brick and mortar location located in Central Alabama, USA. I am coming to you from my yarn store called Paper Crane Yarns. So my hand-dyed yarn line and my yarn store go by the same name. I am coming to you on Sunday, January 21st, I think it is. It's a beautiful winter day. It's kind of a sunny day, but we do have winter lighting, so I of course have a little bit of lighting here set up. Hopefully it looks all right. I have my microphone, so I hope that the sound is good. So I have a nice warm cup of coffee here I just made. I try not to drink coffee when I podcast too often because the caffeine really does make it more difficult, but I needed a little pick-me-up today, and so that's what I'm having. These are beans that my husband and I roasted. So normally my husband and I roast all of our coffee beans, but I had a gift card to our local coffee shop, and they roast their own beans there. It's called Adventurers Coffee, and it's all like Dungeons and Dragons theme, World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings. It's pretty awesome. So this is their light roast. I'm a dark roast kind of person, but this is what they had roasted that day that I bought some, and it's called Fair Maiden. So that's pretty suitable for a light roast. I have this adorable mushroom mug, and the benefit of this is this little lid that it has, because I'm definitely the kind of person, I pour a nice hot cup of coffee, and then I fail to drink it in a timely fashion, and then it gets cold. So anyway, I kind of just do the typical what you think of when you think about a knitting podcast format. I am going to show you the projects that I've completed, a couple of things that I've just started working on, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my finished objects. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is the dress for my little panda. At the end of last year, I knit this panda doll for my daughter, Ara. It's a pattern from this book called Knitted Wild Animal Friends by Louise Crowther. She has a couple of books. I really want her first one, which has animals like ducks and cats and dogs. And yeah, she's a great pattern designer. This is the book. And so I made the panda. Her name is Mia the Panda. That's the name of the pattern. And my daughter likes to look through this book, so it's a little bit worse for the wear. I finished knitting the panda at the end of last year, and I had not yet sewn on her little button eyes or made her dress. So since I've last recorded, I went ahead and knit up her adorable dress. It has buttons down the back, and one of the buttons keeps coming loose. The buttonhole is a little too big. I'm thinking I might have to replace the buttons. So now my daughter's panda has a dress. I knit this out of Shipya's Katona. So the actual panda is made out of the stonewashed yarn, and this Katona is 100% mercerized cotton. I still have the coat to knit. So she will have a cute yellow coat. When I was planning the yarn for her dress, I chose different yarn than the pattern, and my goal was to give her, it's an orange and pink dress, and then I wanted to give her a yellow coat since it kind of looks like a raincoat. The pattern does. So I'm going to make her little raincoat, but I'm just doing little bits at a time. It was the most precious thing when I finished the dress. I dressed the panda and I took it home to my daughter, who I think my husband had picked her up that day. So I walk in the door and she comes running at me with her arms wide for a hug. It was so cute. Of course, I gave her a big hug, and then I pulled out the panda and she goes, and she's only 18 months old. So that was very precious. Something I'll never forget. It was very sweet. She was so excited to see her panda, and the panda was wearing her dress. So I felt like a very proud mom in that moment. The dress is so cute. I do think that it's a little bit big, so I either I either understuffed the Panda or my gauge was a little bit off with the dress. It's slightly big, so I haven't actually steam blocked it or anything. It's not wool, so I'm not going to wet block it, but I might steam it just to get the skirt to lay a little bit flat. The edge, because it's this garter, it's rolling a little bit, but it's a doll. It's not a big deal. It's this really pretty and simple eyelet textured pattern, and then the striped garter up at the top. But the shaping for this dress was so cute and fun. It was like raglan shaping, so it looked like this cute little sweater, and then you switch colors and stitch pattern, and then you finish out the dress. But super, super cute. I'm excited to make her dress, her coat, and then there are also some patterns to make little shoes, which are optional. I mean, it's all optional, but I might make some shoes at some point. I don't know. The feet are kind of cute as they are. So that's the dress. And I think we all probably have had this experience where we make a project and whatever we're feeling or maybe watching or listening to or reading at the time kind of memorializes itself in the project. And I remember that when I was finishing the dress, it was a very quick knit, maybe 2 days of work. So the evening that I was finishing it, I was watching Gabriella of Merryweather Knitting. I was watching her latest video, and she's just, watching her videos is always so enriching to my day and my life because she's wonderful. And I was listening to her talk about artistry and crafting, and I loved that whole discussion. And just her presence is so joyful for me. So it's like I have so many positive thoughts in this project. You know, the fact that it's a gift from my daughter, I have the memory of kind of hanging out with Gabriella while knitting the dress. And so this is just happiness for me. So that's the Panda. I have the yarn to knit the koala, so I'll be making that one next, and then maybe the coat for this. But something I like about these patterns is the clothing are all interchangeable. So you can knit the dolls, they're all the same size. And then you can swap their outfits around. And with my daughter being, under 2, that's not something she's going to care about yet, although she loves playing dress up. But when she gets a little bit older and I can make her a little closet and get some little wooden hangers and do a whole wardrobe for the dolls, that's just something I look forward to so much. It's like, I don't want her to get bigger, but I can't wait to share those things with her and watch her play and see her imagination come to life. Just this week, she started picking up the dolls and making them wave and dance, and it's really sweet. So the next finished object I will show is another little small project, but I cast on the first one of these in October. I've talked at length about them, so I won't go into much detail, but I wanted a new pair of socks. This was a sock set that I dyed for my Spirited Away collection. This was my Chihiro sock set, so it's inspired by Chihiro's outfit, the sort of green, like spring green and white striped top, and then the salmon-y colored shorts. This was a sock set that I dyed inspired by her character. And the pattern is the Cider House socks by Summer Lee. The lighting, this is happening, let's see. Turn down the brightness. There's a little bit of that texture. These have been wet blocked, and I have not yet worn them because I had them hanging up in my shop for to kind of showcase when Natalie of Knitty Natty came last weekend and did her video tour of the shop. I thought it'd be cute to have them hanging. So they actually have some fishing line on them because they're hanging on little command hooks. But yeah, I have them both done. Last time I recorded that day, I had just cast on the cuff, and then I knit it super fast because I just really wanted these socks. I love the design. I think it's really pretty. It's a very simple cable, very easy to memorize. The second sock, I didn't have to refer to the pattern at all because that's just how simple this repeat is. Because this is superwash yarn, I did use a cable needle for these cables, and that's okay. And it's a regular heel flap and gusset, which is my favorite heel because it's the one I've knit the most often. So again, I don't have to refer to a pattern. I can just knit it. And then of course this stripy cuff is really pretty. I love this part. This is what drew me into the pattern, and I figured these colors, the sock set would be perfect. So I'm really happy, and now I can wear them and they're really cute. I would like to make more of these, but yeah, those are my Cider House socks. My next finished object I am wearing, this is my Agne cardigan. This is a pattern by PetiteKnit. It's an all-over brioche cardigan. This is knit with a single color brioche, but it is a fingering weight and a silk mohair held double. Of course, you could knit it in like a DK weight or something else to get gauge, but I went with the fingering weight and silk mohair held double. This was my first full brioche project, and that's how I picked this pattern. I really wanted to, I was like craving a brioche project. I had only ever knit brioche in my shawlography, which was the Stephen West mystery knit along from 2021. And it was such a small section, and it was 2-color. I knew I enjoyed it, and I very much loved the look of brioche. So I thought it would make a really nice cardigan. And I was very excited when I was searching for patterns, and I thought this one was just right because it features a double knit neckband slash collar. And I really wanted to try my hand at that because it's nice to knit the neckband along with the cardigan and not pick up for the stitches at the end, because so I was knitting this simultaneously with another cardigan that I'll talk about after this one, and that other cardigan involved picking up the stitches. I honestly feel like this technique, the double knitting and knitting it at the same time as the rest of the sweater, makes for a better fit, and I think the double knit fabric looks really pretty. So I'll stand up and show you guys up close in a minute, but I figured I would talk a little bit about the yarn and the process first. So this is Purl Soho linen quill held double with the Purl Soho tussock. So linen quill is an alpaca, Highland wool, and linen blend, and the tussock is kid mohair and silk. And it's one of my favorite mohairs. I don't have one to show you, but the linen quill is the raw sienna colorway, and the tussock is called golden lichen. So the raw sienna had a bit of a reddish yellow brown color to it, very lovely. And the golden lichen was a very glowy yellow green kind of shade. Is really pretty. So held double, they're definitely different colors, but held double, it created this gorgeous, I think, radiant fabric. And to me, this is like the perfect example of like a staple piece that is kind of neutral, but still really fun. So it's really beautiful. It's just the way that it's glowing yellow. I can see, at least on the camera, I hope it's coming across. That's how it is in person, especially when you catch the light. It's like very glowy. So I'm really happy with this super warm colored cardigan. It came out exactly as I hoped. So really glad that I knit this. The process was a little bit intense. I actually started this sweater at the end of September, and I finished it in the beginning of January. So I took my time on this. It was slow going because the single color brioche, and it's pretty oversized. Again, I'll stand up in a moment and show you. It's a lot of knitting. There's definitely a lot of work that goes into this. It's got a unique construction because it's like this drop shoulder, and you have to pick up for the sleeve stitches. You have to do, you start with like this almost triangular portion that is like the initial neckline band, and then you're knitting kind of the breadth of the width here up at the top before you pick up for each side and do these like panels. And it's just, there's a lot of construction technique. So it's a slower knit, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed slowing down. So sometimes I am all about speed and like, let's go, go, go. But this one I enjoyed taking my time on, and I really feel like the effort paid off. Now I'm happy to hear myself saying that, because when I first finished it, I was a little bit disappointed, and I struggle with that. That happens to me often. I'll finish something that I think is going to be so amazing, and you're working on it extensively, and then you try it on and maybe it doesn't exactly meet the expectations that you thought you had. So I finished this about a week ago, and I wore it, after I blocked it, I wore it that night, and then I haven't touched it since because I needed to sew on the buttons. I was thinking I didn't like the fit at first. So I knit the size 2, I didn't mention, and it's meant to have a lot of positive ease, so there's plenty of positive ease in here, but I thought that it was too big, but not in a cute way. It seemed very baggy, like not oversized, but baggy, so it didn't really have shape to it. And then I was considering my yarn choices and thought maybe the mistake that I made was picking linen quill because of the alpaca content, which has a tendency to not really have the same kind of memory as wool. But I thought that I was sort of contrasting that quality by pairing it with the silk mohair, which usually adds some strength to the fabric. So again, when I first tried it on, saw it blocked, I thought I was disappointed. But I'm really happy to say that about 5 minutes before I sat down to record, I finally was able to sew on my buttons. And now having it buttoned, it looks so much more finished and it fits just right. So let me stand up and show you the project. So you can definitely see that it's a very oversized sweater. It's a little bit cropped, and I think you could probably tell with the shaping here where it comes up, where I've just buttoned it. Before, it was sort of hanging awkwardly at my sides. So buttoning it, I think, is going to be the way to wear it. Now, I did wear it open before it was buttoned, and I still liked it, and I think it works, but this is perfect, and it really traps in the warmth, but it's not hot because there's a lot of open space here. The sleeves are very, very big and roomy, so it's not hot, but it's just right. I'm very happy with this project. I'm so glad I made it. I at first was wishing I had gone one size down, like just knit the size 1, but I'm really super pleased with this. And again, the color is beautiful. It makes me feel really nice and happy, which is much needed in the winter. I think it'll be beautiful for fall, of course. I mean, it's definitely a fall color. Pairing it with like this pink, and I've got orange pants on. I feel like it's just a lot of fun. And I've got bright green dinosaur earrings, which we'll pretend like it matches. Maybe it does. I don't know. So for yardage used, I did play Yarn Chicken. I was so thankful that I won because I had 3 skeins of the linen quill, so 300 grams of this fingering weight yarn, approximately 430 or so yards per skein. And then I initially had maybe 4 skeins of the tussock, I think that's right, which would have been 100 grams. And I did have to reorder the tussock halfway through the project. Now I have 1 skein extra that is untouched, 1.5 skeins maybe. So I don't remember exactly how much of the tussock I used. It was either 5 or 5.5 skeins. Don't quite recall, but I do know that I used exactly 3 skeins of the linen quill. So when I was knitting this on the second sleeve, I got down to about this much after I did the bind off. I got down to about this much left of the linen quill. So that was very exciting. So I knit the first sleeve to pattern. I think that was this one. And then the second sleeve, when I could tell it was running out, I decided to shorten it. And now normally I would not want to have sleeves of 2 different lengths, but I could tell they were too big, first of all. My gauge was off with this pattern. If I remember correctly, I think I got stitch gauge, but my row gauge was fairly off. And in the pattern somewhere, PetiteKnit actually says that the row gauge wasn't that important. I think it kind of was when it came to the sleeves. I should have realized that, obviously, but I wasn't thinking about it. So the first sleeve, I was like, oh, it's way too long. Unrolled, it's way too long. It's like not cute. It's very uncomfortable because it's drop shoulder. So the whole time you're like trying to keep it on. And then I realized that if I folded it, it's cute and it solves that issue. So there's that. So anyway, I just knit the second sleeve a little bit shorter, and I estimated where to make it shorter just right so that when I bound off, I had just a little bit of yarn. The only other thing I want to say about this was I did do a tubular bind off on the body. not on the sleeves because I wanted these to be a little bit tight, so I did like a knit one, purl one bind off in rib. But the body, I did a tubular bind off. She calls for an Italian bind off. And so at first I was getting very frustrated because the linen quill yarn, it's a little bit of like a sticky yarn, if you know what I mean. And then you have the silk mohair, which the mohair is very sticky. So all the fibers kept getting very tangled. So, you know, when you're doing your tubular bind off, it's a sewn bind off, and you have these yarns threaded through a tapestry needle, and you're trying to, you know, stitch by stitch, sew up these stitches basically. I had a very long length of yarn because I definitely didn't want to run out because I was, you know, this is oversized. I was doing the whole circumference of the, you know, the body. There's a lot of stitches to bind off. So I did a really long, like extra long tail. So that means having to bring that very, very long yarn through each and every stitch. It kept getting very tangled. So I got to about here, and I mean, that's very few stitches, but I got to about there, and that took me probably 45 minutes, which I could have done the whole thing probably twice in 45 minutes. And then I decided I am going to take out the silk mohair. I don't know why I didn't consider that from the beginning. So I broke off the silk mohair. I wove in an end for that. And then the rest of the body, I just bound off with the fingering weight. So if you decide to make this, consider that. Maybe you should only bind off with the fingering weight and not the mohair. And I'm going to say that goes for, I think, any project like this. So if you have a lot of stitches and you're going to do a sewn bind off, maybe consider dropping your lace weight and just weaving that into the fabric and binding off with only your fingering weight. Save yourself some trouble. I have bound off projects that were this yarn combination before and didn't have a problem, but it really didn't work with me here. And I think it's because of how much, like the length of the yarn I was trying to bind off with. So anyway, I hope that's a learning moment for you. Maybe save yourself some frustration. But that's my Agnete. I love this one. I'm very excited about it, especially now that I put the buttons on, which by the way are just some black plastic buttons. I was thinking this might look cute with like a tortoiseshell button, but in the essence of using what I already have, I had a big pack of various sizes of black plastic buttons, so I threw those on, and actually I'm quite glad. I think this was the perfect choice. Okay, here is my next finished object. This is the Daft Days cardigan by Rebecca Clow, and it's really pretty. I'm super happy about this. I just finished this a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, and I blocked it, and then I sewed on the buttons a few days ago. So all in all, I think this project took about a month. I started it December 1st with the cast on. So this is knit bottom up, and I used the Yarnaceous Fibers Floral Soar Warm Palette Box, which was a 15-day mystery DK weight skein box for the month of December. I started opening mine on the 1st, December 1st, but I just finished it. I ordered like 4 skeins of the main colorway, and then I just had the 15 minis. And again, this is DK weight. So in this pattern, Rebecca, I think in her sample, at least in the first one that had my eye, she knit 2 strands of fingering weight held double for a DK weight gauge, but I just used 1 strand and it was DK the whole way through. Now, I really loved this whole project. All of the colors are gorgeous. I'm very glad that I got this kit, or this box with these mystery skeins. I couldn't have put together a more beautiful palette if I tried. They're really pretty. Let's see if I can turn on this light again. There you go. And the buttons I used are dinosaur skulls because this was a dinosaur themed project. So I love a good theme. These buttons are from Simply Serving, and they're wooden, and they have one of her illustrations on them. So all in all, really gorgeous. The only complaint that I have, and this was a me thing and not a pattern or yarn thing, I was thinking that this, as I was knitting it, I was worried that the body seemed a little small. I knit the size 2, which should have given me like just maybe an inch of ease or 0 ease. And the body was, again, looking quite small. So I blocked it before I did the sleeves and picked up for the neckline and collar or button band, because I thought, I don't know how much this is going to grow. And I will give it the credit that it did grow. I figured it would because it's a slip stitch pattern. And so there was a lot of space to grow. So I kind of aggressively blocked the body, and then I could tell it grew. So I decided to proceed after trying it on. It was a little bit tricky to try it on because there was no edging yet. There was no button band. There was no collar. But I thought, okay, this looks good enough. It's knit bottom up, and honestly, to give it length, to make it bigger, I would have had to have started over, because what I really wanted was for it to be a little bit bigger, not just longer. The length I think is great. It's the width of the project, the circumference, that I thought was off. And so she did recommend in the pattern to go up a needle size for your sleeves, because she said that her testers found that their gauge changed. And I'm really thankful that I did, because right before I started to record, I pulled out my little gauge ruler, and I am 3 stitches off per inch. So I knit this very tightly. I got, it should be 21 stitches per inch. I got 24 stitches per inch. And to me, that is crazy that I had such a different gauge. And that, again, that's completely my fault. So, because I started this and was opening the mini skeins, each day, I did not gauge swatch, because I thought, well, I'm just going to jump into the project and I have to knit it slowly. So I just want to go ahead and get started. And that was a huge mistake, because it is a little bit too small. I take that back. It's not too small. It's actually just right. Like, it hugs me just right, but it's not the cute, slightly oversized cardigan that I thought it would be. Like in her pattern photos, I think she has just the right amount of positive ease. It's very cute. But for me, it's like a long sleeve Henley kind of top, which again, it's cute. It's just not what I was going for, and totally my fault. I have this pattern, so I may make another one day with some scraps, because I have plenty of scraps. I actually have a lot of scraps of these, so I could probably do quite a few more rows in another version with some of this yarn, but that's okay. Now, the only thing that I'm kind of bothered with the size of it is, you can see here these little like waves. I think that has to do with where I sewed the buttons on. So I might remove all the buttons and try shifting them this way. So that way, perhaps the wave won't be quite as noticeable. But when I'm wearing it, and I guess I can put it on, but when I'm wearing it, it kind of, because it looks like that, it almost looks like it's not the right size for me. And that's very unflattering, because every body is right just the way that it is, but sometimes, the clothing might not fit exactly how it should for that body. And I don't want to look like I'm wearing something too small. So I don't know. But I also think, and I've already noticed, because I wore it all day yesterday, that it does seem to stretch a little bit as you wear it. So I'm kind of thinking, the more I wear this, the more it'll kind of loosen up. But let me show you the sweater on. So here's the sweater on, and I do think it's really cute. The colors are fun, but right here at my bust, it does kind of do that gapping thing. The rest of it's fine, and it just kind of drapes, but it's right here where I feel like that's where it looks too small, and it's because it is at the bust. So now it's fitted, but it's still really cute. I did find yesterday that when I put it on, if I just kind of put it on and then stretched out a bit, it wasn't quite doing that as much. So like now I can kind of move around. So you kind of just have to adjust it, and it's wool, it's flexible, and it has memory and all of those things. So again, I think the more I wear this, the more it'll kind of open up. Now, if I wear it open, none of this matters, but wearing it closed, which is kind of how I think it looks the cutest, that's where I'm kind of running into a problem. And the reason why I think it looks cuter closed than open is because it has this round neckline, and it kind of hangs in a way when it's open that I think is not super cute, but I'm going to make the best of it. it was a really fun project. And I could even do one of these numbers, like button at the top. Also, if you haven't noticed, somehow my top 2 buttonholes ended up closer together than the rest. So that's another thing. So here it is open. And again, super cute, but it does that kind of hanging thing because these bands are separate. And the last thing that I wish I would have done differently is for the bind off on the button band, not the neckline, but just the button band, I did a tubular bind off because I was reading through project pages and some people were saying that they thought it made it look nice and more finished. But for me, I found that I actually think it made it a little bit too flexible. And that might even be where some of that curve is coming from. So I guess one of the simple fixes I could try is taking out the bind off and just doing a regular standard like bind off, just to do a regular standard bind off. And that might help to sort of tighten up that edge, and then it won't be quite as floppy as that. So again, a tip for you, if you decide to make this pattern, you may consider actually just doing a tighter bind off, because I think that would have been cuter. And thankfully that's an easy fix. So I have a small stack of sweaters at my house that I think need a little bit of a touch up. Like maybe they need a little bit of length added. Maybe some need to be a little bit shortened. The sleeves need to be shortened. So I think I'm going to make this eventually one of those projects where it's just one simple thing, but I think I'll take out the bind off and just redo it. And then I think that'll improve it. Here's the cardigan when I stand. So the length I think is cute. And the colors are so pretty. I love the buttons. The benefit of this one is the construction is very easy. So I do think that this is a super beginner-friendly pattern. But as with all projects, you should gauge swatch. This is a stitch pattern I think that's very easy to knit tightly. And whereas I used to be a pretty loose knitter, I think I have become a very tight knitter recently. So I think more than ever, I'm going to have to work on my gauge. Thankfully, I have been gauge swatching and testing for many of my other projects. I used to never do those things. So you live and you learn. You'd probably drink some of my coffee. Despite the lid, I let it get cold. Isn't this cute? So just quickly, I thought I would show my Pulina pullover one more time. I have this finished in my last episode, but it was not yet blocked. And I thought I would show it once more now that it is blocked. The pattern has since released since I last recorded, and I saw that it's gotten a huge positive response, which I think is awesome because this is a beautiful pattern. I really love Teti's designs. So this is Pulina pullover by Teti Lutsak of Teti's Knit Garden. I think it's such a gorgeous design. I'm really happy with my version. I used my caramel latte colorway on BFL nylon fingering. And for the contrast, this is Stress Knit's merino favorite in eucalyptus. So it's a high contrast, lovely version, I think, of the pullover. And when I first finished it, so when I last recorded, I kind of talked about how I hoped it would open up a little bit and some of that ease would come in, and it did. So I blocked it, I got gauge and everything. It's got just the right amount of ease. I have a ton of project photos on Ravelry if you want to go and take a look at it. I'm really happy with it. I'm not wearing the appropriate top to try this on, so even though I said I would try it on, I'm not going to, but I did take the photos that I've shared on Ravelry are photos of it blocked. So you can kind of get a better idea of how it fits now, and it fits beautifully. So I'm super happy with this project. I'm tempted to make another one, but she has so many other gorgeous designs that I want to make. So I'll hold off for now, but just look at this yoke, just holding right here. This part is so stunning. I love test knitting patterns for many reasons, but one of the reasons is usually the designers offer you a free pattern as a thank you for testing their design. And so I did get her, I think it's called Ornata blouse, and it's very beautiful. So it's like a kind of a plain stockinette body, but it has these gorgeous oversized sleeves with a colorwork motif up in the whole sleeve. So that's going to be a cast on pretty soon. And I'm thinking about doing a burgundy version with really light colored color work. So that's kind of inverse of her sample where she did a light body and a dark color work, which I love, but I think I'm going to reverse it and we'll see how that goes. But that's something I will cast on soon. So I'm grateful to have received a copy of that pattern and this pattern for free for testing for her. I have my eyes peeled for whenever she does her next test because I'm going to definitely apply. That's Pulina. It's so pretty. So those are all my finished objects for this week. And I only have 2 works in progress. Finishing up these couple of projects kind of cleared my needles. So I have one longer term project, my West MCAL from this past year, and then I have a new cast on. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the new cast on because it's another cardigan, and then I'll show you my MCAL progress. I have this project in a Fat Squirrel Fibers bag. It's the only bag that I own, although I just ordered another one, which I'm excited about. But it's so cute. It's little animals wearing mushroom hats, and I've shown this many times, but I love this project bag so much. I'm finally using it again. It was storing some yarn before. I thought it would be perfect for this project. So I just cast on a few days ago the Cutar wrap by Sari Nordland, and I had just purchased the yarn for this. So last time I was recording, I showed that yarn. I had an order from Knitting for Olive that I placed in December, and I got in 2 sweater quantities, one being this one, and so I'm happy to have already nearly finished it. I am going to be binding off the body today. So let me show you the progress on this real quick. This yarn combination feels like velvet. It is incredible. So I'm using, this is double-stranded. I really love these silk mohair cardigans. I think they're beautiful. So I'm holding the merino, which is their fingering weight, double with their silk mohair, and both of the colorways are rose clay. So I think on the camera it looks a little bit beige, but they are pink. So they are definitely they're on the beige side of things, but they are very pinky in person. It's gorgeous. It's like subtle, but it's almost like it glows this pinky purple color. Very pretty, sort of mauve, I guess. But I think it's so gorgeous. And I'm knitting this, A, because I really love the pattern. I love the yarn. I wanted this. But B, because I have an event to go to later this year, and I thought this might be a nice thing to wear. So I love Stardew Valley, the game by Concerned Ape. Love it very much. I've been playing it since it came out. It's been quite a while now. And this year they are doing a symphonic tour of the Stardew Valley soundtrack. And I managed to get tickets to the Atlanta show in July. I'm super excited. It's going to be the best night of my life. So with it being July and Atlanta, it's going to be too hot to wear anything too elegant or too woolly. But with it being a symphony, even though it's like a fun video game based symphony, I still want to kind of get a little bit dressed up. So I thought I would make this wrap cardigan, and then I will knit the oolong tank to go underneath it out of this yarn. And this is just kind of what I am planning. But so, you never know. But I think this will be really pretty. So I wanted to make the wrap sort of a neutral color, so that way it has a lot of application. And then I have this gorgeous yarn from Long Dog Yarn. This was their Lord of the Rings collection. So pretty. And it's called A Shortcut to Mushrooms. It's a little bit of a grayish green because it's on a yak silk base. It's 65% superwash merino wool, 20% silk, and 15% yak. And it's stunning. So I think this will make a really pretty outfit. And that's my plans. So I'm wearing this to a symphony. A Stardew Valley symphony. I initially thought I was going to knit a dress, and part of me still thinks I might try, but the dress pattern that I had in mind, it is this beautiful pattern. It's like a fitted bodice with a circle skirt and a big chunk of color work houses at the bottom. I think it's called house dressing. I could be wrong. I've had that on my queue for a long time, but in reading reviews about it, I have a couple of things that made me sort of like, not sure if I wanted to invest the time and money in that project yet, because I was thinking of making a black version and holding a strand of like a lace weight sparkly silver strand throughout the whole dress. I thought that would be so pretty. So I still want to make it one day, but I was reading that the colorwork chart is a little bit hard to read. Apparently, it's a very big chart and very small, and so not very accessible. And I struggle with that because I think I could make it work, but I think a lot of people cannot. I don't know. I think using Knit Companion, I could probably make it work, but I'm a little bit worried to buy a pattern that might not be reachable for me. And the other thing is, it is not a very size inclusive pattern. There's only 2 size options for the bodice, if I remember. Oh no, so there's 10 size options for the top, the bodice, if I recall correctly, but they are in 1-inch increments because you're supposed to knit the size of your bust. So I think it goes from like 32 to 42, something like that. And so I could knit it, but I think the majority of people couldn't knit that. Or maybe not the majority, but a lot of people could not knit that. A lot of people would need a bigger size than the 42. You could make the argument that you could just do the math and adjust it for yourself, but you know, you're paying for this pattern. And as much as I love this pattern, there's just not, I don't think feel right sharing my process of making it. And I'm, you know, it's like so many people who've watched this probably might not be able to make that themselves. And it's not just the issue of the top, but there's only 2 skirt sizes. So it's definitely, the pattern needs an update, I think. So I'm not going to knit that yet, even though I really want to. I'm just not going to do it. So anyway, that's why the Cutar wrap has been cast on so quickly. And of course, I've got 7 months to go, 6 months to go to wear it, but it'll get a lot of use this spring. I'm very excited. I haven't bound off yet because I'm thinking I'll do a couple more inches of ribbing, even though I knit this exactly to measurements, and this is the size 2, and I got gauge and everything. I feel like it's a little bit short, and I don't think that this wool is going to grow very much. So we'll see. I think I've already tried it on. I think it needs a little bit more length, but what I might do is stick it on a barber cord and then go ahead and do a wet block and just see, before I bind off, see how I feel about the length, and then decide if I'll bind it off. So I may go ahead and put the stitches on a barber cord, knit both of the sleeves, and then block it before binding anything off, just to see if I need to add some length. Because again, even though it's to measurement, I don't think it's quite long enough yet. So that's my plan for that. It's going to have a tie, and it's really pretty. It's actually a very simple pattern. The lace chart's easy. The construction of this has been really easy. So I think that this is a really nice beginner-friendly wrap pattern, wrap/cardigan. So that's that. So far, I've only used 1.5 skeins or balls each of the yarns. So these are, the merino is 50 grams. It's a 17 stitch gauge per 4 inches. So it's a very large gauge. You're knitting this on a US size 8. And that's, again, I got gauge with that. And I think, you know, the fabric it feels really nice. It knits quickly because it's a very loose fabric. So it may grow because there's so much kind of space in the fabric. And there's a little hole there that you knit in to feed the tie through so you can wrap it. But yeah, so I have enough of this. I've got more than enough of this yarn. So I could definitely add some length. And then my only other work in progress right now is my West MCAL. And I'm just kind of working on this as I feel like it. I'm not in a hurry to get this. I love garments and I love knitting accessories, but I don't wear them as often, especially not something this fun in color. So the project bag is a quilted bag that I made last year. I think it was last year. And for this project, I'm actually using Purl Soho linen quill again because I ordered this yarn when I ordered the yarn for this. I really have not been working on this, but I did start on clue 3 finally, and I'm making good progress. I've been very good about weaving in all of my ends as I go with this one because most of the project you were able to knit them into the fabric, but right now the stitch section I'm on, you can't really do that, and so I have some loose ends here. I hope that doesn't bother you, but I will sit down and weave them all in, of course. So this is my version of the Stephen West MCAL, and it's called, what's it called? Wow, I forgot what this is called, but it's the Stephen West MCAL from 2023. It's this big square in the center. It looks like a quilt block. This was the Miss Blaine modification on Ravelry. I think it's really pretty. And this is clue 2, these eyelet and garter rows that go all the way around. And then clue 3 is so pretty. It's the slip stitch design, but you end up creating this like highly textured fabric that I think almost looks woven. It's really pretty. So you're doing decreases every other row here. So this part is getting faster as the stitches become fewer. And so I'm creating basically 2 little wings. And then I'll have clue 4, which I'll have to pick up and do this on the other side. But then clue 4, from what I have heard and can tell, you're just knitting one continuous thing. So when that one's done, it's done. You don't have to pick up and do a second part. This was a lot of modular knitting. I don't think I need to go into detail because the pattern's been done for months and I'm sure you've seen it. But I love my version. It's very bright and fun. It's super fun. So the colors are peony pink. That's the light pink there. And then we've got salmon. And then, goodness, I am really forgetting things. I have everything in my notes. Bright flamingo. So we've got peony pink, salmon, bright flamingo, and then pink pop. So I just did a really fun, bright color palette just to have something fun to knit on. Got my cute little pink donut stitch marker there. But yeah, it looks very radiant on the camera, and it's that radiant and bright in person. It's a very bright, happy project. That is my only other work in progress. But since I only have these 2 projects on the needle, I think I'm going to go a little bit crazy with the casting on, since Cutar was such a quick project. That's been on my needles for maybe since Monday or Tuesday. It's been very fast. So I'm going to go ahead and do my Oolong Tank by Amy Scher. And of course, I have a million other projects just waiting for me to get to. I was going to talk a little bit briefly about a couple of things that I've been gifted and that I also purchased. I have this really amazing new project bag. I just got it in last night. This is an Alabama maker. They are called 65 South, so 65southalabama.com, but I found them on Etsy. I was looking for a new project bag because I don't often buy project bags since I make them. So I was really excited to find this. It's beautiful. It's a black and white fabric. I think it's all denim, or it's like a canvas material. So it's really nice and kind of sturdy. It's this cream canvas on the inside. And then there are these pockets on the inside as well, like a newsprint. It's really, really lovely. It's nice and sturdy and it's sizable. But what really got me was the fabric. I love this fabric. And then I have 3 skeins of yarn to show you guys. And this one is what I'm going to go ahead and cast on. So Treehouse Knits, who I love, their team, they're dying. They have beautiful yarn. They just did a collection for the office, so I couldn't pass it up. I got 2 skeins of some silk mohair and 1 skein of their spruce sock, which is the 4-ply. This is the 75-25 merino nylon sock. So this colorway is called Nard Dog, based on the character Andrew Bernard. And back in the day, I didn't think I really liked Andy too much, but the more I watch The Office, the more I love Andy. So I really like this, but I really wanted this warm reddish brown color. It's really gorgeous. And I'm planning on using this in my heirloom quilt cardigan that I'll be making hopefully this year. I haven't started because I'm still color planning, but this was the one color I had in my head. And so I decided to purchase this from them. I'm really glad I did. So yeah, I'm going to combine this, I think, with some pinks and do like a pink and brown version. But that is waiting for me when I'm ready to start my squares for that. And then these ones are so fun. These are called Scranton What? From the episode where Michael and Dwight do the Scranton What, the Electric City song. I couldn't resist. I thought these would be a gorgeous cloud bow pullover. I have had that project on my mind, and when Pom Pom announced that they were going out of business, I purchased the digital magazine so I could have the patterns. It comes with a dress pattern and a sort of peplum style balloon sleeve top, and it's made out of like a lace weight yarn, and it is very beautiful. So I'm going to wind these up and go ahead and cast them on. They're really pretty. I love these rainbow speckles. They did a great job on this colorway. One of these skeins has more black than the other, it seems. It might be different when I open them. So I was not planning on alternating skeins for this project, but I might need to because of the black. But we'll see. I'm going to open them up and see the distribution. Maybe there's more black inside of this one that's just not showing up right here. They might be pretty similar. I'm hoping I don't have to alternate skeins on this, but we'll see. Those are all the things that I bought. I'm trying to, as we all are, just appreciate more of what I have. I did recently, this week, I deep cleaned my studio space, which includes my yarn stash. So I got to really touch and look at everything I own and imagine the projects that I'm going to make. So I'm going to spend a lot of time this year appreciating the yarns that I have and actually making those projects, doing fewer test knits so that I can actually do the projects that I want to. Although I did just today get accepted for a Joji Locatelli test knit. Super exciting. I love her patterns. And this one is for a tank top. So I thought that would be a nice test knit to apply for because I don't have any summer garments, and living in Alabama, I want more knits that I can actually wear year round. Because wool is like my favorite thing on the planet. So I will always make wool sweaters, but I need some things in my wardrobe that I've made that I can wear when it's hot, because it's hot more often than it's not. So I'll be starting on that too. I did get a couple of gifts though. So I wanted to share those because my very lovely friend Marquita, she stopped by the shop a couple of weeks ago, and I have just started fiber dyeing, and she is an amazing spinner. So I gifted her a braid of some merino fiber that I dyed. It's my favorite one. It was pink and orange. I really loved that one. And then she sent me some fiber in the mail. I'm not going to take them out of the bag, but I think you can kind of get an idea for how pretty they are. These are from Nest Fiber Club, and I'm so thrilled. I won't go into all the details, but I actually cried when I opened this package because I was having a very exhausting day, and then receiving these, I was just so thrilled and felt very special that Marquita sent these to me. She also sent me a bunch of little charms, stitch markers. So I've got some mushroom themed ones in here because she loves me. And she sent me some dinosaurs, and they're pink. She sent me some pink dinosaurs, and they're so cute. I have a thing. I'm excited to use these on an upcoming project. And I'm very, very excited to start spinning up these fibers. So I actually just subscribed to the Nest Fiber Club this year too. I haven't gotten any of it yet, but I'm very excited to start working with it. And so this feels awesome to be able to go ahead and get started. And these are two colorways that I really wanted from her, but I didn't buy anything from her last year. So this one is called Paper Kites, and it's on Superfine Merino, and it's very colorful and just lovely. And this one is nice and moody. It's on BFL. It says mixed BFL, and the colorway is called Tapestry. but I haven't yet spun anything that's got all these deep colors yet. So lots of fiber to spin. I'm almost done with my current spinning project, and then I think I'll move on to one of those. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, that's everything that I am going to talk about as far as my crafts today. As I said, I did record at the beginning of this a little ramble, and I was planning on having it at the beginning of this whole thing, but it ended up being very long. So I'm going to, in editing, I'll have already done this, but I'm going to actually take that part and put it here next. And just because I wanted to sum up, this next little part of talking is me just kind of talking about my experience as a business owner and just expressing my gratitude and my personal perspective on seeking joy. If you have any questions for me about owning a business or anything like that, feel free to leave them down below. I might try to do a Q&A sort of thing next time, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next part, and then I will let you guys go. But I hope you enjoyed my projects, and next time I record, I think I'll have about 1,000 more. The only other thing I'll say, sorry, is I did just do a big shop update, so I have plenty of yarn available on my website right now. So if you've been wanting to purchase yarn from me, and you know, sometimes my website, my hand-dyed yarn can be a little bit empty, but I have a bunch in stock right now. So if you would like to take a look at that, and we'll have an anniversary sale next weekend. So Saturday, the 29th, I think that is, 28th, 29th. It's next Saturday. This video will hopefully be up before then, but I will have an anniversary sale, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, there's next Ashley, and then goodbye.